Being an Indonesian woman in 2021 really means being a vehicle for change. Gender inequality is a systemic problem. I think everyone needs to play a part to build a more inclusive world for women. Governments need to create policies that support women's ability to play a role in society. Companies, if they haven't already, need to be proactive in ensuring that women have fair career progression opportunities and improve the male to female ratio in leadership roles. And I believe that no matter who you are, there will be something that you can do to help contribute to recovery.
Faut pas. Pas ici.
C'est pas bon. Buongiorno, good morning to everybody, ladies, gentlemen, students, people who are here, people who are following us online on streaming. We have a very big issue today. We have an issue like tackling climate change, and I have 5 great speakers. Actually, you see only 4 of them. We will have another person who is Ulima Tassar. The volume is not correct.
Yes,
is it okay? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, it's not something I can correct. Can you do something for? They say my volume is not. Is it okay?
No.
Is it okay? No. Everybody can hear me? I will try to speak louder anyhow. More. Okay. I will shout, okay? If I will seem rude, it was not intended, okay? I will just shout to be heard. So we will have another person who is very important. She is Ulima Tassar, who is Regional Director of West and Central Africa, United Nations Women. But right now, she's not here with us, but she will be connected with us in a few seconds, I hope. And so let me start with the introduction of the people you see right now with me on stage. Where do we start from? From my right-hand side, we have our only Italian on stage, apart from me, who is Antonella Centra. Antonella Centra is Executive Vice President at Gucci, so this needs no more explanation, I think. She's a member of the Board of Directors, and she is Gucci's General Counsel and Head of Sustainability and Corporate Affairs. We are going to talk a lot about sustainability today. Always on my right, I'm very happy to introduce to you Jessica Wijaya. If I say it the wrong way, please correct me. Jessica is head delegation of Women 20 Indonesia. She's also Sherpa of Women 20 Indonesia 2021. And Director of Universal Peace Federation Asia Pacific region. On my left-hand side, I have Christopher Cordova. Christopher is co-founder and CEO of Victoria Artificial Intelligence, actually on many other things, so many that I will cut it short, but anyhow, he will be our expert of artificial intelligence. And then we have our French guest, Marie Guillemot, who is chairwoman of the board of directors of KPMG France. Please, to the staff, let me know when Mrs. Ulima Tassar will be connected. Okay, so that I don't see her, so right now she's not connected. Just give me a sign, okay? Oh, she's here. Okay. Good morning, Ulima Tassar. If you can hear me, please let me know. I don't think so. Okay. We will talk to her later. I will start with some question to our Indonesia guest. And since, Jessica, can I call you Jessica? Since you are head of delegation of Women 20 Indonesia, and today we're talking about climate change and the impact of climate change, especially on gender. From this point of view, which issues are more crucial, more important to you? Which requests will you make to the next G20 in Rome?
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank the Chiara Corazza for inviting me to Italy to attend this amazing event, because we know that it is not easy to have an event in the middle of the post-COVID-19 pandemic era, which is, I'm very happy that we can start to empower women again, and maybe for some of you, it's your first trip after the COVID pandemic. So regarding the priorities, we have some priorities in the G20, and it's economic digitalization for sustainable development of women in technology. But at the same time, we're also looking for economic digitalization that can connect it to the climate change, because the way they produce the economic digitalization, which is digital and technology devices, it could produce negatively or positively. It depends on how we work on it. So our priority is have the positive impact to the climate change of the economic digitalization for women in technology. And we also will have the climate change as one of our top key priorities in W20 Indonesia in our presidency next 2022. It is very important the climate change is in one of our top key priorities. And at the same time, our President, Joko Widodo, has already told us that we are going to reduce the emission by 29% and by 41% by 2030. It's connected to the 2030 G20 goals, which is connected also to the sustainable development goals. So it is very important for us to work together, because without working together, we're not going to achieve this climate change and tackling climate change together.
So you've already answered my second question, which actually was, but it's okay. It was about your goals as the presidency. Let me ask you another one, because coming from Indonesia, you come from a country. Can you always hear me? Okay, give me signals. Okay, you come from a country where cities can be huge. Of course, I'm thinking about Jakarta. Huge cities are, of course, not climate friendly and not women friendly. So from this point of view, in your opinion, how can we rethink or starting rethinking our cities so that they can be, especially metropolis, more climate friendly, more women's friendly?
Well, this question always arises in our minds. So, for example, when government promises or presents a solution to various problems, such as regarding the current climate, the government, as the highest stakeholder, has begun to take responsive actions to address the impacts of the climate change. The most important thing that our government initiate that is the energy transition, which is one of it is affordable technology. That we need to have a transition, for example, is the energy transition from gas and oil as the fuel to using the electricity as the fuel. So, such as in cars and many other examples, our daily life activities. And Indonesia will work on lowering the percentage of emissions accordance to the Paris Agreement. This will also have a better impact to women who are pregnant and for the health of people around this environment, because we are not living alone, and what we want to do is to make a difference and changes in the environment. We live in an ecosystem together that we hope people will support each other in tackling this.
Impact and reduce our impact. That gives me the lead to ask a question to our to the guest I see connected. I welcome again Ulima Tassar, who is Regional Director of West and Central Africa for United Nations Women. Welcome. It's a pleasure to see you. Everybody sees her? Yes, of course you see. I would like to ask you a question. Women are the great majority of climate refugees and also have the higher risk of climate-related mortality. This is something we know. But why exactly is it so?
Thank you so much for your question, and I'm delighted to be here. And this conference is happening at a defining moment. If some of you might recall, 2020 was the year that we were celebrating the 25 years of the Beijing Platform for Action. 45,000 women around the world met in Beijing, China in 1995. and made a platform with 12 revendications, critical points that the whole world was supposed to reach by 2020. And today, as we're holding this conference, climate was one of the subject matters, because then, in 1995 already, the women of the world were convinced that we were going to be affected, but also we were convinced that we were going to be part of the solution. I cover a very interesting region that is the Sahel. And the Sahel is the epicenter of violent extremism, but also climate change. And women in the Sahel spend a lot of time looking for water. I remember visiting a country in the Sahel, and I was told that these days when the young girls get married, they are not given furniture or jewelry, they are actually given a donkey. They're given a donkey because they will spend most of their time looking for water. And now with climate change, they are looking for water further and further, putting their own security at risk. So today we are convinced that the women are part of the solution because they are highly affected. And I will give the example of one of our largest programs that is supported by private sector, by BNK, which is Women Economic Empowerment through Climate Resilient Agriculture. Because we want the women to be able to produce better at scale in a climate resilient manner in the Sahel particularly, by using renewable energy, by better water management, by land reform, because as you know, when we talk about resources, women are at the center and we are always confined into micro spaces. So our agenda today, when we talk about climate, it's about rights, it's about representation, and it's about resources. And representation is also critical in this conversation. The governance of the decision-making in climate action. We would like to see more women at the table. Because as you know, if we are affected, we want to be part of the conversation. Because if the decision makers are not affected dramatically in their daily lives by climate change, they may take forever. And we know that the climate change is an urgent call for action. And women are saying we have no time to wait.
So your position is that we have to stop to be victims of climate change, and we have to be more and more involved in the solutions, take part, be invited at the important tables. Let me ask you something more, Oulimata Sarr. Do you think that green transition, which is what everybody is talking right now in the world, can always be fair? Or is it riskier for the poorer than for the richer? What's your opinion about this?
I think it's climate, green jobs, and, green technology, renewable energy is the way into the future. We are convinced that if you want to bring about change, you need to have a leapfrog. It's the same issue that we have with women in quotas. We know that incremental change will take us 170 years to reach representation. And I think today the younger generation is telling us we don't have time to wait. I think we need to make green technology available to the masses. We need to make sure that the government invests into green technology. And the women are saying we don't want to be left behind in the green job. We want to be in circular economy, we want to be in climate resilient agriculture, we want to be at the center of what you're doing because we represent 51, in some countries 52% of the population. And I think that is so critical. I was delighted to hear about our panelists from Indonesia, because cities, now that we are more urbanized, even in Africa, cities have to play a key role. And playing that key role, meaning bringing clean energy, greener jobs into urban areas, beyond the conversation we are having for rural areas.
From this point of view, can you give us a quick idea about some of the programs you're following in Africa? I think you have some interesting programs about agriculture in Sahel. Quickly, please, but
yes,
please tell us.
I will be short, because as you know, 80% of the people in Africa are involved in agriculture. And as we talk about the climate change, we're also talking about the nexus between peace, security, and humanitarian action and development. And in order to address that, you have to elaborate flagship programs that address economic empowerment through climate-resilient agriculture. We talked about two value chains quickly. One is rice. As you know, COVID has shown us that food sovereignty is critical for many countries. And in my country, particularly Senegal, the women produce 1/3 of the rice. And we, through our programming, are helping them through climate resilient agriculture, use of energy, better seed, to increase their productivity to produce, sustainable rice. I also want to share quickly the work that we do in the shea butter value chain. Shea butter, karité in French, is almost in every cosmetic, line that you buy these days. It's a miracle cream. And the shea butter is so interesting because it's a value chain that is really that is owned by women. All the way from Senegal to South Sudan, we call it the shea butter belt. And those women play a critical role in protecting forestry because, shea butter is just an indigenous tree that grows. And the women play a critical role in protecting the environment and protecting those trees because everybody in the community sees the value of conservation of those shea butter trees.
Thank you, Limata. Now, tackling climate change, which is the core of our issue today, is becoming more and more important for companies too. And I have at least 3 persons here working for companies. I will start with Antonella Centra. But it's the same question I will ask to you two. What are your companies doing from this point of view to prepare for a greener and more inclusive transition?
So, first of all, we do as a company, but as a group. Marie-Claire Davot is here. She is the Chief Sustainable Officer for Caring. So, I'm blessed. I used to say that I'm blessed because I'm part of a company, Gucci, and of a group that was visionary in this domain. François-Henri Pinault started from 2011 to have a vision on sustainability, and a great contribution was given by Marie-Claire. And so all the brands of the group, and particularly Gucci, which represent 80% of the group, is particularly active. Companies, and more in general, may play a great role in the positive and in the negative. So we want to be positive, to have a positive impact, but first of all need to be accountable for what they are doing. We hear in those days in the B20, in the G20, a lot of statements regarding the urgency of acting. The call to action before was of reducing emission by 2030. But we do not have the benefit of waiting, and we need to be substantive. So we decided back in 2018 to become carbon neutral. In 3 months, we took this decision. We had a CEO, will fire me, a CEO, Marco Bizzarri. Marco Bizzarri, who walked the talk and is quite fast in the decision-making process when he believes that something worth. So it was a summer, and I read an article regarding the possibility of introducing tax for products which had a negative impact. So it started reasoning, and in 1 month we decided to become carbon neutral. So we had already the objective of reducing our impact by 2025 or 40%, but we decided that we did not have the benefit of waiting until that time. So does it mean that we are not producing any emission? No, it's not this, because it's impossible. Nobody is able. There are no technology which will allow to be organically zero now. But we while we decrease progressively our emissions, so we have anticipated the reach of the target, we reach 47% of reduction of the emission now, while the target was 2025. The delta of emissions that we are not able to reduce or to avoid are compensated. So we are investing, and I was talking with Christopher before, and he enchanted me, in programs which aim to protect nature, to restore nature. We have started to invest in regenerative agriculture. So we are trying to give back because we have an impact. We have an impact in the environment. We have also a positive impact in terms of employment. But everybody should start a virtuous circle of taking and giving back.
It's a long and winding road.
Yes.
Yeah. Ladies first, so I will ask the same question to Marie-Guillemot.
Yes, at KPMG we have a purpose which is to inspire confidence and empower change. So it resonates very much with our double challenge of diversity and climate change as well. So we are pushing quite heavily now on action to these kind of goals on an ESG program. It's we set up a sort of a 360-degree program to act in two different dimensions. First is to have our own transformation, to drive our own transformation. And second is to bring our knowledge and energy to the benefit of our clients. And this is where our major impact is when we work shoulder to shoulder with our clients to improve their ESG impact, to shape their a more sustainable supply chain, to increase our positive impact of social and societal challenges. So this is what we have designed. We act around 5 pillars: people, planet, prosperity, governance, and communities. People is, as you could imagine, to work towards more diversity, inclusion, work-life balance, because it's also a great challenge at KPMG to retain women talents. Second on planet is to go greener through green IT, green buildings. We also shift for 100% decarbonized energy, for instance. Third pillar is around prosperity, is where we have the major impact. The idea is to bring in each and every service offered to our clients an ESG dimension. So we have to upscale all our profiles. This is a huge plan across KPMG because we are more than 220,000 people.
How many you said, sorry?
We are 220,000 people, okay. So we are now trying to skill people on ESG dimensions because this is where we see the massive revolution and the major impact, positive impact for KPMG through our clients and through our project to our clients. Fourth pillar is around governance. We set some next-gen committees to bring next-gen voices around ESG challenges, to have some innovative solutions or propositions. And the fifth pillar is around our community. The idea is not to act on our own, but rather through across our ecosystems, if you will. And in France, to give you an illustration, we have more than 1,000 volunteers that work on education, social entrepreneurship, and environment. We need to double that in France, and it's the same across the globe in the different KPMG member firms. So this is a huge program. Why? Because we don't want only to reduce our negative impact, but rather to have a positive impact. And the major one is with our clients.
Christopher Cordova, is it easy, this kind of task? Is it easy to take a company and make it greener and more inclusive? Where do we start working on that?
Well, Victoria Spatial Ecosystems is very new, as in extremely, extremely new. So it's a startup that has just been born. But it comes from a very, very key premise. And that premise is twofold. One, we still need more data. So we still need to understand these challenges in their real depth. So we need far more data about what's going on in nature, what's going on in the communities where women are the most disadvantaged group, within the most disadvantaged communities and the most vulnerable to climate change. So we need more data. We need to know what is actually going on there. So that's the first part of the premise. And the second part is we need to lower the barrier of entry for financial solutions. That's why we're a fintech. Financial solutions to make it easy to invest actually in the solution, to make it easy to invest on preserving nature and helping the communities that are there in the fire line, trying to hold together ecosystems, and of course trying to survive at the same time. So we simply need more data and to lower the barrier of entry for every one of us to be part of the solution, to play actually our part. And that's why, of course, we have been focusing on how do we take all this energy and how do we channel all these different technologies that are currently taking over the world to help us do exactly that, to do precisely that job. How do we harness the power of artificial intelligence, of fintech, of digital twins, of the metaverse, of all these crazy things that are out there, and use all those technologies as tools to help us fast forward the solutions. So that's the premise. And I think that if every company starts thinking about these questions, then we will see progress very, very soon.
It's a good beginning. From this point of view, since we are the Polytechnical and we have lots of students also listening to us, what are companies right now, from this point of view, okay, to be greener, more inclusive, and the things we're talking about, what kind of skills are you looking for? What should students study to get hired from your companies to work in these fields?
Do you want
Who wants to answer? It's for all of you, but...
Well, as I mentioned, we are convinced that we have a massive wave of ESG projects to drive. So we need to attract and retain and develop ESG skilled people. Meaning that we don't have to have only engineers in environment and life science engineers and so on, but we need people that are agile and collaborative to make it happen. And this is why we are upskilling all our KPMG profiles, because we need more and more people aware of the climate change disasters, the climate change prevention solutions. And we have to have many people within KPMG. So we are looking for that. And I'm very optimistic because if in digital we have, let's say, more than 60% of men in these STEM programs, in life science we have a majority of women.
Already the majority?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is where I think that we could mix teams, leveraging on digital and emerging technologies, and also with life science. And I think the bundle could make a huge difference. So this is where we are, but we need also to have more diverse profiles if we want to have more innovation, more direct to customer solutions. For instance, we need to have different mindsets. And so we need to have people from different backgrounds. In audit and consulting firms, we have people from the same background, I would say, so we need to enlarge, to widen our talent pool. We pilot some what we call junior teams with people from disadvantaged background, and we train them very specifically, and it works very, very well. So we are now trying to scale up this program, and it makes a difference.
Marie, you said two important words, a different mindset. And this leads me to a question for Christopher Cordova, because the very important word of today is artificial intelligence, AI. So it seems to be the answer to all questions. I would like to ask you, if you can explain it in simple words, a very difficult thing, but I think you're used to it. So what can concretely artificial intelligence do to better climate and gender issues? Don't tell me I never thought about it, because I do not believe it.
Technology basically is all about tools. And a nail and a hammer won't do the job. So still, they need us, and most importantly, still the tools need common sense. So
right.
we cannot let technology solve all our complex challenges. We cannot be centered just in that. So it's very, very interesting, because when you give a fool a hammer, he feels empowered and he feels entitled. Imagine we're having such a powerful tool as artificial intelligence. We feel entitled. We feel empowered as humanity. And it's terribly, it's really terrifying. But actually, everyone talks about the vulnerability of women on climate change. But no one talks about their suitability also for leading. Not only leading efforts, but also coordinating multiple efforts. The current leader of the UNFCCC is a woman, and the former was a woman too. And what I'd say is, we need to push the multitasking power of women towards more leadership positions on the war against climate change. Because we do need more common sense on the steering wheel before we use the hammer and the nail in all the wrong ways. And that is to say, we really need to understand that those tools will not do the job. We need that common sense. And at the same time, we need to bring the people that have seen from a disadvantaged or a more disadvantaged perspective the problem, the people that understand the complexities, the intricate problems we're trying to solve, and we need to bring them to the front so we have a real chance to tackle this with the integral thinking that we're still lacking very much. So we need to fast forward the effort of bringing more women to the leadership on that, because we do need more integrality, a more integral approach. We cannot solve this just with technology, be it the most powerful one.
But if I may step in on this subject, I think that women have a great opportunity in the green transition, because in many companies, for example, the job that I'm leading, the sustainability function, is led by women. Maybe because in the past men did not give a great importance. Now it was considered a very technical and staff function. So we have a lot of women that are in a powerful position now, because are leading the possibility of changing. And also turning all this crisis that we had with the pandemic into a possibility, with all the attention that there is on climate change, on the green transition. So I think that the women empowerment is intersectional. So there will be a lot of new job opportunities, and given that there are women leading position in this domain, our task will be to bring more women, and so to create a multiplier effect.
I will be back to you in a second. Exactly what she said, jobs of the future. Can you tell, especially our audience, which will be, in your opinion, from this point of view, the most promising jobs of the future? What should they study more?
Here, I would say, before precisely going to the jobs, it's important to understand the areas, what is needed, actually, the perspectives that are needed. And of course, we do need far more work on the specific technical things, but on the other side, we need integral thinking, systems thinking, a broader view, because if we don't give ourselves the opportunity of looking at these complex challenges, such as climate change, no minor thing, such as women empowerment within the context of climate change, such as bringing opportunities to the most disadvantaged communities. If we don't look at it in a more integral way, then we're up for disaster. We cannot just go deeper and more specific all the time. Of course, we do need that. And of course, we need more diversity there, and more communities represented there, and more evenly distributed opportunities. But at the same time, we need people that are thinking about the big picture and about how to connect all these different tools together and how to apply. It's not only about the applications of technology, but the implications of technology and the implication of those applications. So I would say not only let's go for the jobs in particular, but from the perspective, because even those jobs will be changing. And what we call...
At a faster pace, maybe, than we even imagine.
Definitely, but what we cannot miss there is the perspectives, both integral and deeper.
We need vision, vision, vision. This brings me back to you. You were talking about the relationship between fashion and sustainability and how Gucci is working on that. Now, for many, fashion and sustainability seem to be like an oxymoron, a contradiction, and because fashion is born, in a way, was born to create desire, while sustainability keeps telling us, in a way, the thought about sustainability to reduce waste and consumption. So it's difficult to combine the two things. How does Gucci especially work on this apparent, at least, contradiction?
So first of all, there is a big distinction between luxury and fast fashion. So luxury,
yes,
and this is the starting point, because the luxury sector is meant to create long-lasting products. So the end of life of the products represent an impact much lower, incredibly lower with respect to fast fashion. It is a completely different philosophy and mentality. And secondly, we have to think about the fact that it is an industry that creates a lot also of positive impact in the territory in terms of job creation, in terms of the network of suppliers, in terms of the network of manufacturers. I would like to give you an example. During as soon as the COVID started, our main concern was to help the network of our suppliers, who are based 97% in Italy, to survive. We are talking about Italy is the land of made in Italy, of these incredible small companies, entrepreneurial family companies that are producing the beauty. And so they were literally struggling. So we immediately, in 1 month, and when I talk about the importance of partnering also between companies, Marco Bizzarri called Carlo Messina, the CEO of Banca Intesa, and we set up a program which was meant to help the suppliers to get immediate access to the credits, to the money that were lended by the state. So it was a virtual way of cooperating among private sectors and the state. And in 15 days, the suppliers were able to get this money at a very positive interest rate, very special conditions, very quick. After the crisis, we upscale this partnership, and so we decided to include criteria of obtaining special funds with very convenient rate for suppliers of our network able of investing this money to improve their environmental performance or to adopt policy in favor of inclusivity. So women, but for us, women is only a portion of our 360-degree gender approach. And so you play the role like of the father that help the system to move towards a good objective. So if on the one hand you create an impact, you try to restore from an environmental side, from a social side, so to
communicate. Is it difficult from this point of view dealing with young consumers? Because climate, we know, is a huge issue to younger generation. We all know about the Greta phenomenon, the Fridays for Future. So from this point of view, for a fashion company, is it difficult to deal with young consumers, which are often eco-consumers, and maybe accusing fashion companies of only doing greenwashing? How do you deal with them? Because they scrutinize very carefully. You know that better than me. Fashion companies. So how is
First of all, trying to be really authentic. So we have started very recently to be more proactive, active in communication, because we started to communicate only once we were certain about the substance and the solidity of what we were doing. So we have a comprehensive platform, which Equilibrium, which tell all we do in the different pillars of our strategy, on the environmental side, on the humanity side, social side, and in terms of research and development. We balance our offer. So, I mean, we have leather products, but for those who decide not to have leather products, we have invested in new material. Dimitra is one of the first, one of the most recent innovation we introduced, which is incredible because it is a fabric that is treated like leather, so the effect is like leather. I shouldn't say because we are a leather company, but so we provide an inclusive offer for our clients and for the young generation. So there are young people who like more environmental, more green product, other that are traditional. But even a leather product, we have to think about the fact that I'm still wearing my grandmother bags. So in our case, now there is an intrinsic value of the product that only when you are not able at the end of life will eventually disappear. But even there, we have with Marie Claire and with the group incredible program in terms of circularity, upcycling.
I see. So investment and credibility are crucial, which I think is real for all of us. From this point of view, Marie-Guillemot, I read on the website of your company that you are committed in building a better tomorrow. It's a big promise. So tell us something about the practices you have implemented in KPMG from this point of view.
Well, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, we have a global program with different pillars. the idea, and it resonates very much with the program that I launched in France a few months ago. We need to move from slides and strategy to action, to concrete action, because as you mentioned, Antonella, it's only based on facts that we can communicate and engage our people, and the people is our more precious capital in a people business like ours. So we absolutely need to act on the ground. To give you some examples on the people side, we implement some more flexible new ways of working. Post-pandemic, it's more acceptable, if you will, to have young women or young mothers working from home, and it helps us retain them, and we absolutely need to have them in driving positions within the firm. Second, on the action towards our communities, for instance, I mentioned that we have a foundation from more than 15 years now, working with 1,000 volunteers. We need to double that, double the number of volunteers, double the numbers of hours spent to bring people from rough background, more educated, and give them access to jobs within our firm. And this is very concrete actions that make the change real, if you will, and we demonstrate on success stories, very small success stories for some of them, that it works. And if you value what has been done, if you value positive impacts, step by steps, you enlarge your impact. And it's the same with our clients. And I would give you an example. The measurement is the real challenge for corporates to be credible and to act in the right direction. And we spend time developing a methodology which is called True Value, to give a sense of financial estimation of the positive impact that we could have. To give you a use case that is public, we work for Volvo Trucks. Volvo was to sell some electric buses to cities. The buses, electric buses, were more expensive than the usual ones from the competition. And we were able to deduct a financial estimation of the positive impact on less pollution, less noise, more flexible battery, and so on and so forth. Okay. And then they won the tenders with cities. So this is an example where when you can measure, you can prove, you can demonstrate, then you bring positive impacts. And it helps corporate, it helps cities to go in the right direction. So this is some very concrete examples.
There is, I think, maybe one or two final questions I would like to ask all of you, because I see time is running much faster than I thought. But there is something which I would like to ask you. Many people today suffer from what I would call climate action resistance. Maybe they do not believe that all the damages we see are human-made, or someone feels simply powerless, overwhelmed. Okay, how can I really make the difference? So, in your opinion, how can we make hope real, tangible? How can we inspire people? Would you like to start?
In architecture, they say first you shape a building, and then it shapes your life. So the same is true with technology. If we really want to have hope, we first need probably to be terrified by the real facts. Yeah, and before that, we need to be informed. And we need to be curious. So the first thing really is curiosity. If you want to break a point of standing by and being frozen by be it fear, be it indifference, etc., we should start by trying to set the fire of curiosity first and look for information. If you can stay informed, then you will see the true complexity, and after seeing the true complexity, you can have a clear understanding about how and when to act. So that's crucial. Curiosity in children, in students, at work, everywhere. Curiosity and looking for information. It's never enough because the problems are complex and the problems are real and the problems are there. So we really need more information, and that is on our hands, basically.
I do agree with you. Ulima Tassar, can I ask you the same question? How do we make hope tangible, concrete, and real, and effective?
I like your question because really it summarizes why we're here, which is a call for action.
Good.
I think we have a great opportunity to build the back better. And listening to all the panelists, we can summarize our conversation into maybe a few points, which is definitely we need to have decisions that are evidence-based. I think the gentleman that is on the panel made it very clear for us. I will summarize my call for action on 3 points very quickly. One is the role of men. At UN Women, we launched a very powerful movement called the He for She, Les Lui pour Elle. This is really our men champions, decision makers who say, you know what, I stand for gender equality and women empowerment, and I will include women in the conversation. So we need to call upon men decision makers to walk the talk with us, and including youth, particularly in the continent of Africa, where they say that the average age is 19 years old. We know that climate action and call for action will need conversation. Next time, maybe our panel can have more men. I'm congratulating the single guy on the panel. He's definitely a he for she. I would also, call on the G20. I think these are powerful member states who really need to drive the feminist foreign policy. Some of them already have it. Canada and some other countries have a foreign policy that is feminist. And then when they support governments around the world, they say, how much of this money is going to women and girls? What's your gender equality agenda? So we really call upon also member states to play their role. We also need private sector to really raise to the challenge. We've been very fortunate at UN Women to have private sector partners, philanthropy, private sector to their corporate social responsibility, who really drive the climate action with us. But we would like to see more of that. And in a nutshell, what we need is really to press on 5 main levers. We need to really press the button of policy. We cannot bring about change in climate without changing the laws, the rules and the regulations. We definitely need access to information. And I think the gentleman on the panel, talked about it. How can we use technology as an enabler, as a catalyst to access to information to the wider community? We also talked about access to resources. Every idea that we have on this panel has a cost, and we need to know what is the cost, what is the investment that is needed, and sometimes it is more expensive. And of course, we need infrastructure. And infrastructure in my continent, at least, is roads, it's renewable energy, is access to water, is internet. And the COVID showed us that there was a huge technology gap that we need to catch up. So this would be my final call for action: men, private sector, and member states.
Jessica Wijaya, I would like to hear you about hope and maybe your call to action from this point of view.
So I agree with Christopher that we need to have the curiosity, but at the same time, people who have a fixed paradigm, who do not believe in this climate change, that it is human-made, and do not want to take action on it. I think that it is very important that in our environment and in their environment, we create a very realistic action, so they could believe from realistic point of view. That could trigger the curiosity, because at the same time, when we just want them to be curious, what's the point that make them curious? So we need to have the activism in the environment, and in the environment itself, we have the real example. So action is a very contagious activity. So when people see action, people see the real example. when they see the real example, they know that, and they realize that this is real. This is not just what people are talking in a panel or just people talking in the media, that the climate change is, we need to take action on it. But this is real. There are so many people, activists, very great activists of climate change, which is creating a great impact in their environment. And I think it's very, bringing a very positive impact for all the people. And as the W20, for the call to action, we are going to have the climate change as our top key priorities in W20 next presidency in Indonesia. So I think we will write the communique based on analytical and our experience, because our delegates consist of 20 countries, which we will have, we will analyze those 20 countries, and we will write a very good communique to tackling the climate change.
I know I'm already late. I will just steal 1 more minute for our final call to action with our 3 guests. Please be quick and effective.
Call to action. So we ask companies to join our carbon neutral challenge, which we launched in 2018. 3 needs: account and measure your impact, invest to protect and to restore in a nature project base, and measure your progress. We are struggling in finding members to join us. We have quite a group of people, but we would like to enlarge, because this is the only way to progress.
Absolutely. Marie?
Yeah, my call for action would be that everyone can choose to be the change. So please don't do nothing, do small steps, do wide projects, but we all need to be in that trajectory. I'm sorry. For me, becoming greener, becoming more inclusive is not a destination, is rather a journey, and we all need to be a contributor to that. So as a citizen, as a consumer, as a professional, as academics, everyone can do a part of the job, so please act.
Stay informed.
Stay informed. Wonderful words. Could not agree more with you. I think we will never speak enough about women. We will never speak enough about climate, but I trust Chiara Corazza very much. She will create the right occasion. So thanks to all of you for participating. Thanks to my excellent speakers. Thanks to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. La picture.
Thank you. It was very beautiful. Huh? Okay.
I just wanted to say that this panel is wonderful because, as you know, climate and women is so important. And I would like to say, ladies and gentlemen, that the community of the Women's Forum is with Indonesia for this big challenge that they're keeping for the new presidency of the G20. And we will be all together with them to support them in the climate change fight and, of course, with women.